Hi, everybody. This is Satsang from Satsang Solutions, and we are talking today about expanding your reach and how you can stop wasting time on and energy on the wrong networking strategies and start doing things consistently that really work for you. And the reason why I'm giving this webinar is because I believe deeply that we each have our own individual strategies which work well for us. And I am tired of hearing people say that there's only one way of doing things and that you have to do it this way in order to succeed. I don't believe that at all. I believe that we each have our own special little recipe of networking activities and outreach strategies which work for us best. And that's my objective today, to show how through human design you can become more connected with strategies that will fit you best. I have a couple assumptions today. One is that you know a little bit about human design, and if you don't, that's also fine. I'm going to do my best to keep jargon down to a minimum. If I say something, a term that you are not familiar with, which you are not familiar, don't worry about it. Just let it go. If human design is something that you with which you resonate, you will soon understand the terms. And I also want to say something which is really important to me about human design is that I mentioned earlier that it helps you figure out the best strategies for you, but just keep in mind you always have free will. Human design gives you guidelines, like so many things in life give you guidelines, but bottom line is that it's up to you to decide what is good for you. We're going to keep it short today, hopefully about half an hour, give take one side or the other, because we are all busy. And so this is going to be a very simplified overview of the situation. And we're going to go through examples with a couple different people, but just keep in mind that if I was giving them an actual consultation, it'd be a lot more detail than we're going on through today. So we're going to look at a couple different layers of human design and how each of these different layers helps affect you and helps guide you as to what types of networking activities might be most successful for you. You can see the layer cake motif here. This is my approach to human design. Like I said, my approach is it gives guidelines, it gives you things to understand, to know where your strengths are so you can lean into them and where your gifts are. And ultimately, it is up to you to decide what you want to do. I don't believe human design says you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this, you're going to be terrible at this, forget about this. It's what things, if you do consistently, will most likely end up with you being successful and satisfied and optimizing your energy. We're going to talk about 4 different types of networking activities today as a way of simplifying it. Cold calls, networking events, whether they're mega, medium, or small, one-on-ones, and lecture invitations. That'll give you sort of like a wide range of situations and human design charts that will help show how you can use human design to decide for yourself what you might like, might want to lean into. And we're going to be looking at 2 people. They're actual real people. I changed their names so they stay anonymous. Their names are Alex and Karen. And we're going to talk about, first of all, their type. In human design, there are 5 types. We are going to talk about 2 of them today. Alex is a manifesting generator, and Karen is a projector. So let's look at Alex and his manifesting generator type, and this type as it relates to networking activities. So manifesting generators are pretty amazing. They have tons of energy. They can just basically take on the world if they wanted to. And so looking at his type only, and you never look only at type, but we're going to build this slowly, layer by layer. Alex is good at all types of networking activities, cold calls, networking events of all types, online, in-person, one-on-ones, and lecture invitations. Now, a big caveat. You see it's highlighted here in yellow. I'm going to stress this again and again and again today, so get ready for it. Just because you might have an inclination to be good at a certain type of networking activity, according to human design, you still check in with yourself each time. So let's take Alex. He, as a manifesting generator type, could be awesome at mega networking events. But before he signs up, if he's following his human design, he will check into himself and he will decide whether this particular networking event is a good match for him or not. And we're not going to talk today about how to make decisions in human design. This is a huge topic. As I see it, it's fundamental. I discussed it a bit in episode 1. The link is here. You can get to episode 1 by going to my website. Here is the address, and going to free resources. And so it talks a bit there about how to make decisions in human design, and I'll cover it more in future episodes as well. So looking at Alex, according to his type only, he is fine for all types of networking activities: cold calls, networking meetings of all sizes, one on ones, lecture invitations. Remember the caveat: for each event on a case by case basis, decide, is this one particular one for me or not? When we say no to something, you know the saying, everything else is a possibility. And so don't be scared to say no to a networking event. Don't feel that you need to go to everything if it doesn't suit you, and go to everything if it does suit you. It's up to you. You have free will. So let's go on to Karen. She is a very different type than Alex. Again, Karen's not her real name. Karen is what is called a projector. And projectors, as a general statement, everything we're saying here is general, have more limited energy than do manifesting generators. And so, as a general statement, mega events may be less appropriate for her because oftentimes you have more sustained energy for a mega event. One thing that is very important for a projector in terms of networking activities is the second bullet here. To experience consistently good results, a projector's best networking strategy is either to be invited, either to a lecture or to speak, or to an event or to coffee, or number 2, to go with the intention of spreading their joy, their passion, their knowledge, without any intention to convince. This is very different from a manifesting generator who's fine, able to convince. A projector, best strategy is not to. And again, I want to stress that you don't have to follow this. You can do whatever you want. But if you're wanting to optimize your energy, and for projectors, as they have less energy, this is a very useful thing. One will get most consistent results if they are invited as a projector, or go to share without an intention to convince. And so, what this means for Karen is that where she might want to lean into are smaller events, lecture invitations, again, being invited as a lecturer, or one-on-ones. Cold calls, maybe a little less because there's often a bit more convincing required in cold calls, and you're not invited to a cold call, as is the definition. And mega events, maybe or maybe not, because of our energy levels. And again, so let's look at the next slide. Again, the caveat here in yellow: for each thing on a case-by-case basis to make the proper decision. Is this suitable for me? And so we look at Karen: best networking activities, lecture invitations, one-on-ones, networking meetings outside, perhaps cold calls, and mega networking meetings. And at this point, you might be asking yourself, now, if Karen and Alex and everyone else still has to decide on a case by case basis whether something is a yes or no, why care about your type? Why care about anything in human design? It's all open because you're always deciding. And my response to that would be that, let's look at Karen. She knows that one-on-ones and lecture invitations and small to medium networking meetings are perhaps a better suit for her based on her type only. It might mean that when she's building her skills, she will go in that direction. So she knows that lecturing might be great for her because you need to get invited oftentimes to lecture. So she might work on training for lecturing skills. And so she can start moving her activities in that direction and still decide on a case by case basis. And we're going to get more into this when we look at the next thing, the next layer, which is profile. That's layer 2 of human design that we're looking at. And whereas one's type talks more about how you relate with the world and how you make decisions, your profile is really important for networking because it has to do with how you take advantage of opportunities and those types of opportunities that often most present themselves to you. How your profile works is that there are 6 different profile numbers. Everyone has 2 of them and they're never the same. And so we're going to look at the profiles of Alex and Karen as they relate to networking. Alex has what's called a 2-4 profile. A 2, it means a lot in terms of networking. What is most significant is that he might need downtime before, after, during a networking event. As a manifesting generator who has a lot of energy, so his need for downtime may be less, but it'd be useful for anyone with a 2 in their profile to think about how they're going to have time to chill out before, after, during. You'll understand your own energy better as time progresses, but keep that in mind. That's an important thing. More relevant to networking for Alex is the 4 in his profile. 4 is like amazing in networking. Well, actually, every number is good in networking. A 4 means that Alex gets a lot of his opportunities from the people he knows, his networks, his connections. And so for him, as a 4 for his profile, warm introductions will probably be more consistently successful for him than cold. That means that cold calls, although looking at his type as a manifesting generator, cold calls are fine. As a 4 profile, maybe a little less so. And when he's at networking events, it'd probably be more useful for him to be introduced by people, have warm introductions. So let's look at this nifty Venn diagram of Alex based on his manifesting generator type and his 2-4 profile. So manifesting generator type, everything is in the circle. For his 2-4 profile, cold calls are outside. So what remains inside are networking meetings of all sizes, one-on-ones, and lecture invitations. And his 4 in his profile means that he would be well advised to consider leaning towards warm introductions. And always remember the caveat, always decide things on a case-by-case basis. And so going back to the original question that you may have had is why, and that I partially answered, why is it that any of the profile and type is important if you're remembering the caveat and deciding on a case by case basis? And I mentioned lecture invitations are good for Karen. And so she might want to train herself how to lecture better. For Alex, if you're looking at his 2-4 profile and he decides he wants to be part of a networking group or he wants to do networking meetings, because he has a 4 and because who he knows is important and building relationships is important, he might want to consider more being part of, say, like a BNI group, some group where he sees people every single week and builds connections, rather than going to networking meetings, one cold meeting after one cold meeting after another cold meeting. So he might want to lean his strategy towards that. Again, remember the caveat, and every time deciding on a case-by-case basis. But knowing one's tendencies, and to this stage of this webinar, type and profile helps you start building your strategies in general. And then you always decide, like life, you're always deciding things on a case-by-case basis. So let's look at Karen. She has a 3-5 profile. And the part of her profile, well, the 3, how it relates to networking is a person with a 3 in their profile learns through experiences. Book learning is not enough. Experiential learning is the most important thing. So she might decide, okay, I'm a projector. Cold calls are not good for me, but I want to try it out for myself and see that they're not good for me. So go for it. Try out anything you want. The 5 in Karen's profile is very interesting. People with a 5 in their profile have a tendency that people see them in a very positive light. They see them as a leader. They see that they have certain skills or talents that perhaps the viewer wishes that they had in them. And this is very interesting when you combine it with a projector profile, because if you have a 5 in your profile, people are likely to invite you to do things. They see you as being skilled in a certain area without you having even had to prove it yet. And so, as a projector, and we mentioned as a projector that something that is very important is, let's go back to it, is to be invited. That is one of a projector's 2 best strategies. The other is simply to share with no expectation of convincing. But when you go back to a 5 profile, and a person with a 5 profile is more apt to be invited. And so looking at Karen's profile plus her type, where invitation is a big thing for excuse me, for her networking activities, it'd be a great strategy for her to lean into those events which require an invitation. In other words, she might lean again, as we discussed last time, into lecture invitations, or if she's part of a networking group, say BNI or something else, to wait for her to be invited to give a talk, or to networking events, also to be invited to share things and to lean into that. Now, remember the caveat. The caveat always is to decide on a case-to-case basis. So in Karen's example, perhaps she's being invited to be a keynote speaker at an event that she would love to be part of. Still, that she would love to be part of it is not necessarily enough. She still needs to check in with her human design decision making strategy to figure out whether that event is a good fit for her. And again, episode 1 discussed a little bit about decision making strategies. I want to discuss it in a lot more detail in other webinars or blogs, because it's so very critical. So this is the overlap between 2 things and 2 layers of human design: type and profile. Now, ordinarily, layer 3, I would discuss centers. I'm not going to do that today. And the reason why I'm not doing that today is because I talk about centers a lot in other webinars. And so I want to talk about something different today. But if you were coming for a human design consultation, we would definitely discuss your centers. Centers give nuances, not actually nuances, a lot of like critical foundational information about areas where you have consistent energy, areas where you're more likely to be influenced by other people, areas where you have more flexibility or you might be a little bit more rigid. And these are things that are very helpful for you to know for networking, to know where you can lean into certain strengths and talents, and where you might be more influenced by other people. For instance, some people, and incidentally, both Karen and Alex in this example, according to their centers, might be more influenced by other people's ideas of what they should be doing for networking activities. And having that awareness can let you release those expectations more easily. So, okay, I think I should be doing X, Y, Z, but that's because someone else told me. It's actually not a good strategy for me personally. And being aware of that gives you a lot more strength, a lot more of a center where you can really be more in touch with what is best for you. So we're skipping over that, going to layer 4, gates and channels. Now, whereas I think of type, profile, what's called authority, we sort of touched on it without touching on it, and centers are foundational. Your gates and channels are nuances, and nuances can add a lot of richness. They're not as critical. You can go through your whole human design life without talking about them, and you will vastly improve your life. But we're going to touch on them here to see how they add a lot of interesting nuance. to one's networking strategies. So let's look at gate 12. Gate 12 is an interesting gate to do with human design. Just so for someone who's not familiar with human design, all of these numbers on this chart, this human design chart, are different gates. So gate 12 is where my little mouse is here. It's on this brown square. And gate 12 has to do with timing in speech. So when you have what is called an active gate 12, it means you have consistent access to the energy of the gate 12. And when your gate 12 is called inactive, it means that frequently you don't have access to it. For the purposes of today, we're going to say you have access or you don't. More nuances than that, but forget it for now. It's not that important for today. So when you have an active gate 12, the energy that you have access to is a knack for timing in speech. You will wait until the opportune time for speaking, and that will give your words more impact. And when gate 12 is inactive, you don't have that, which means you speak less with less hesitation. It's easier for you to speak spontaneously. You don't have the same need to wait for the exact perfect moment. And you can see that from this, how with human design, as I look at it, there's no good or bad chart. There's no good or bad anything. There's different areas. So on the one hand, if you have gate 12 active, it means that your words can have a lot of impact because you wait for the right moment. And if it's not active, it means you speak a lot more easily. You don't hesitate. You don't have to worry for that. And so, for different types of networking activities, one might be more useful and the other might be less more useful. In this case, Alex has a defined or an active gate 12, whereas Karen does not. So, we'll see both of them. So Alex, because his gate 12 is active and he has this thing with timing, the best activities for him with this nuance, and again, it's just a nuance, it's not a huge thing, but it's a nuance. But if he wants to lean into this special nuance, things that he can wait for the special timing are a better fit, like a lecture. A lecture you plan when you're going to talk, or you have a general framework. You can wait for the timing. A one-on-one, when you're together for a longer period of time, there is more time to wait for the good timing. A cold call, there is less time generally. And so that will influence, if you're looking at your gate 12, what activities he may lean into. He also has, see this black line here? The black line is called the channel. It goes between two active gates, and he has this channel activated as well. It goes between gate 12 and gate 22. And basically what it means is not only does he wait for the right timing, but when he does, he has like emotional impact in his speech. And as we all know, emotional impact is a very great thing for speech. So it means he does better when he has an opportunity for deeper, more meaningful exchanges. One-on-one is a really great thing for that. So looking at the Venn diagram here, manifesting generator type, everything is inside. 2-4 profile, cold calls are out. Why are they out? Because warm introductions, your network, the people you know are important, and cold calls are by definition outside of that. We have here gate 12 that is active for Alex, and that means that again, because timing is important for him, cold calls are out. The yellow, it's more of a nuance. For the simplicity of this thing, we're putting it together, but just keep in mind that the gates and channels are more of a nuance, less foundational. And remember the caveat, not highlighted in yellow here, because you should remember that although these things are in certain places, you still have to check in with yourself each time for the best consistent results. And he's to lean into warm introduction timing. So that gives him like ideas what to do, what things will tend to bring him the best consistent results. And so let's look at another one, active gate 26. This is just going to show how things can really You can lean into different things at different times. Gate 26 is here. Gate 26 is awesome for networking. It has to do with your ability to be persuasive. And what does that really ring a bell with? Cold calls that we said that Alex is good for his type of manifesting generator. Less good for gate 12, which we just looked at, and less good for his 4 profile. However, like anything, we can choose to lean into whatever we want. So here we have a more complicated chart here, but I think it's really interesting. So cold calls, we're looking just at cold calls here. When you download this, if you feel like downloading it, you can look at it in more detail. They're out for his profile, they're out for his gate 12, they're inside for his type and his gate 26. So what does this mean? It doesn't mean that everything's a mess. It means that Alex can decide what he wants to do and then lean into the skills, because where we put our mind, where we put our focus is where we are stronger. So let's say Alex decides he wants to do LinkedIn DMs, cold calls. So you think, fine, I'm a manifesting generator. That's awesome for me. I have gate 26 active. I can be pretty darn persuasive. And he checks in with himself with a caveat here. And it's the right thing for him to do. So he focuses on his type and his gate 26 and he rocks it. On the other hand, perhaps Alex also wants to do a one-on-one. In that case, he can lean into his type, lean into his 12 profile, lean into his active gate 12, because he is very good when he can wait for the proper timing, and lean into his gate 26. We can also be persuasive if he feels like it, and focus on those on the one-on-one, and he will crush that too. Again, remember the caveat, make sure it's a proper event for him to go to at any special time, and he is just going to be awesome. So what I want to say about all this is that human design empowers us. It means that we retain our free will. We always have the choice what to do. We're going to get the best results when we check in with our human design decision making process and get a yes or a no for it. And then we can lean into those strengths that we have. So it's there for empowerment, not for restriction. Not to say, oh, according to my human design, such and such is not good for me, so I'm going to avoid it. You can avoid it if you want, but you don't have to. You can do whatever you want, and just be aware of your strengths and your gifts, and you are going to be awesome. So Karen, we're going to go back to gate 12. Alex was active. Karen, it's inactive again. It's here. You can see there's no number here. You can't see it that well. And that means she can talk without hesitation. She's better at that. She's better. She doesn't hesitate so much. She can feel she can speak wherever. She doesn't need to wait for the proper timing. And so this means that for cold calls, she might rock them, even though for her projector type, it's not a natural for her. She also has this inactive channel, which means that, emotion is not such a big thing for her when she's speaking necessarily. So let's look at her Venn diagram. Her projector type. Lecture invitations are awesome. One-on-ones are awesome. Medium, small networking events are awesome. And cold calls and mega events are outside. For everything else, her profile and her inactive gate 12, cold calls and mega networking events are potentially inside. Again, the gates are more of a nuance than her type. But remember the caveat, for her to just to lean in and check with her decision making process what she wants to do in every single situation, and she will naturally choose the right one. And to remember, because of her projector type, which likes invites, and because of her 5 profile, which is great because people see wonderful things in her, even if she has not had to prove them already, one of her natural strengths are strategies that highlight her knowledge, expertise, or leadership. Karen also has an active gate 26, just like Alex. This was, if you recall, the gate that helps you be persuasive. And what that means, this is very interesting, that notwithstanding that according to her projector type, cold calls and mega networking meetings are perhaps not a natural first thought for her, it's possible that she'd be able to crush them because other things in her profile point to that. Remember the caveat for her to decide on a case by case basis. And so, what this means that above all, proper decision making is key. And if you notice, this is a key lime pie. So, remember the key. What your natural tendencies and strengths do is help guide you towards general big term, big picture strategies of talents you might want to hone into, groups you might want to be part of, um, habits in your day which lean into your natural strengths and your natural tendencies for your type, your profile, your centers, which we're not talking about today, and perhaps certain gates and channels which are particularly associated with networking. But the bottom line is before you do something, if you're following the human design procedure, which you don't have to do, but if you find the human design works for you and you want to, you decide on a case by case basis according to your particular strategy, which is with your authority, which we haven't discussed in any great detail today. And again, episode 1 talks a little bit about decision making. Remember, this is very, very, very simplified today, but it gives you an idea about how you can use human design to help you get a very personalized and successful and potentially successful strategy of how you want to increase your outreach. And it's something that you helps you escape from this prevalent, like you have to do things this way and only this way and not this way. It helps you build something that's more personal for you yourself. And that's it for extending your outreach. About future webinars, my plan is to continue these, go back to once every month or two. I love doing things that interest you. So if a particular topic interests you, talk with me. And if it strikes my fancy, I'd be happy to do it. Most of my webinars are on human design or Bach flowers. I'm open to other things on personal development, inspiration. Just let me know. If you want me to look at one of your human design chart in a future webinar, I'd likely be interested. I will do it on an anonymous basis. Again, speak with me. You can speak with me through my website. Just get in touch with me at satsang.com. A bit about me. Uh, what I love doing is helping people reach their goals, their personal goals, their professional goals through listening to their inner voice. I use very practical, effective, and efficient strategies. That's me. I was a lawyer for many years, and I bring that into what I do now. Actually, I bring my personality into my lawyering, into what I do now. And that's why I choose human design and Bach flowers, because although they might have like a woo reputation, they're actually very, very practical and very, very effective. And I encourage you to reach out at any time. The things I work with are sometimes considered to be a little bit inaccessible, and I try to make them as accessible as possible. And my website has certain information, and if those would answer your questions, you're always welcome to be in touch with me. I also invite you very warmly to sign up for my monthly newsletter. Yes, only monthly, once a calendar month, and sometimes I skip a month as well. It's available both by email or by WhatsApp, whatever's best for you. You can sign up through this QR code or go to my website, and at the bottom of the page is a way for you to sign up. My newsletter contains something that I hope will be useful or interesting, sometimes a blog, sometimes a tip, sometimes something else, and a special that's available only for newsletter readers. Generally, that's the only place I give out specials at this point, at least. And so you can get it there. And that's all for today. So thank you so much for being here. Any questions, do be in contact with me. I will be making both this video and also the PDF available on my website. And you'll be able to download the PDF and watch the video for free. You don't have to put in your email or anything like that. And have yourself an awesome day. Bye-bye.